All right, we're here with pro songwriter and music producer Michèle Maslin, and welcome. Here's how it's going to go. First, we're just going to do a brief introduction, like right now. Michèle is going to walk us through her journey into becoming the prolific songwriter at the highest level and talk to us about music publishing. And at the end, we're going to open up for a Q&A. And so if you have questions, you'll be able to leave them in the comments. And if you're joining us live, right, hashtag live. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay. If you're watching the replay and you have some questions and you weren't able to join live, pop your questions in the group and I'll try my best to get your answers for you. This is such an honor and a privilege, and let's dive into it. So, Michèle, tell us about what you're really excited about right now with songwriting, and then let's get into your journey. But what are you most
Okay, sure. So, Mary, thank you for having me, and hi, everybody. It's such a pleasure to be here. It's an honor. And I've heard a lot about the wonderful singers and songwriters and producers that are in the group. So I'm super happy to be here. And I'm always excited about songwriting and music producing. And I've been doing it forever. And I'm always excited about the next new song, just like we were discussing about your new song today, right, Mary? It's always amazing. It never gets old. Having a song when you hear it on the radio never gets old. Having a song in a movie, in a TV show, watching it, hearing it, it's just like the first time for me. So I'm always excited, and I'm never taking anything for granted because it's a lot of work and it's really hard. But I love it. And my most exciting new thing is my radio hit with smooth jazz artist Jonathan Butler. So he's an amazing artist, and we have a new single out on the radio that was most added by Nielsen BDS last week for smooth jazz radio. So he's like a R&B soul smooth jazz artist. So that's very exciting for us.
Cool,
and we're super happy. And thank you. Yeah, it's always great to have a radio song, on the real radio.
What did you do with that song? Your role in that?
That song, I actually wrote the lyrics and helped a little with the melody, but surprisingly, usually I produce everything and write the melody. But with Jonathan, he mostly writes the melodies and then I write the lyrics. So that's what happened with that song. And he had the idea. And it's a social conscious song called Our Voices Matter. And I helped be his voice and execute it for him, which is really fun to write in someone else's voice, not me, but in his voice. He's a male, he's Black, he's from South Africa. So I have to write what he would want to say. So I have to pay attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very, very cool. I love doing that, channeling other artists.
Yeah. It's like acting through music in a way, except like you're writing it, but acting in terms of taking on a role. And it's not becoming a role, but it's being receptive to someone else's soul.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I put my soul into it and also add what I would want to say, but maybe not in the same vernacular.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? So I love doing it. He's my favorite artist to write with, so he's amazing. And if no one has heard of him, look him up, Jonathan Butler. He's had about 35 albums out, and he's been a hit star since he's 7 years old in South Africa. He's practically supported the music economy in the country. So but now he lives here in Los Angeles.
So
yeah, he's amazing.
Tell us about your journey and how you got to be doing this. You told me that you've been doing this for 21 years at least.
41 years.
41. I'm sorry. You
41 years.
21. You've been doing it for
yes. I've been a professional since 1979 for 41 years. Before then, I was in high school. But since I got out of high school, and I, like most people, I think, who sing and create music, wanted to be a singer. So I started out singing when I was 2 years old, 5 years old, with a dream, always the same dream. Like all of the people here because you work with singers. You know, that was my dream. It was to be a singer. I had no idea what that meant or what that entailed, but that was my dream, was to be involved in music. And then I started writing poetry. And when I was about 13, I started writing songs, and usually for the same reason we all do, which is we're miserable, right? Because I find that most songwriters are depressed. So I'm not depressed now. I'm actually one of the happiest people on the planet and irritate people with my happiness. But I was an unhappy teenager and brokenhearted and miserable. And so I was writing as cathartic to, you know, to help myself, of course. And I think that's what most of us do. And then as I got older, I started touring in a band. When I went to college, I lasted in college for a minute and joined a band in Tucson, Arizona. I grew up in New York City. So I moved to Tucson, Arizona, joined a band. That was the end of school. And I went all on the road with 5 guys in a van, and we made a living playing covers and original music. We did both. And the band was a heavy metal band, actually, and I sang heavy metal music, which was really ridiculous. And I threw in a couple of Stevie Nicks songs, which they hated. But mostly I sang like Jimi Hendrix, and I sang a very famous AC/DC song called Back in Black, which is Back in Black. I mean, like that. It was ridiculous. And then I moved to Los Angeles in 1981 with $57 and a trunk. I had nothing, no money, no place to live, no job. And a cousin of mine put me up with his best friend. And the best friend happened to manage a restaurant, and I got a job like in a minute, in a day. It was crazy. And then I started working in the music business in Los Angeles, and I had a band, and that band did performance art. So I did songs kind of like if I was Bjork. There was no Bjork back then, but if it was, that's what it was like. It was very odd. I had films, slides, actors, people polishing their nails, hanging from stretchers from the ceiling. I created songs with all this visual. And then I had a friend who was working on a movie. He actually was directing a movie, and I actually worked for him. We made music videos. So I fell into this, and I produced all these big music videos for people like George Clinton and the Ramones and the Monkees, and big music videos. And he, in 1987, got the opportunity to write and direct his first feature film. And that film starred Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. I don't know how young or old people are here, but they did Hold On, I'm Coming, and I'm the Soul Man. If anyone remembers those songs, which they may not.
I'm the
Yeah, okay.
Sure.
You know, the Soul Man. Okay, so yeah, a lot of young people don't. But at any rate, it starred these, and Junior Walker was from Junior Walker and the All-Stars. They were 2 huge Black artists. They were just enormous. And my friend needed songs for the movie. So he asked me if I had any friends who wrote songs. And because of course all my friends wrote songs. I mean, we were all musicians. He was a filmmaker. But he didn't ask me for songs because I did this weird artsy Bjork-like performance art, and he produced and directed the films and the slideshows that I used. So he knew what I did, so he would never have thought. So at any rate, I wrote a song with my writing partner, who's still my writing partner. It's almost 40 years, like in a couple of months, it'll be 40 years. And we wrote a song for this movie and submitted it under a pseudonym. So I told him, so-and-so, a friend of mine wrote this. We got the song in the movie. So that's how I became a pop songwriter. And that's how I started writing songs for other people. And that song not only was my first song recorded by a major artist, it was also my first sync, my first music placement, all in one. And that was in 1987. And so after that, I started actually becoming a pop songwriter and especially R&B, mostly Black music. So that's kind of how that happened, how I morphed. And I still did my own little artist project, but that's how I morphed into being a pop songwriter. And then I was invited to New York by Nile Rodgers, he did the song Get Lucky, but he's really most famous for Le Freak, C'est Chic, for the band Chic,
Oh, I
but
know
he
Nile
co-wrote Get Lucky.
Rodgers. Yeah,
Okay,
I
cool.
just saw
So,
him in New York at a festival on Governor's Island. He's huge.
oh, he's huge. So he was huge then, and in those
Yeah.
days he was between Chic and what he does now, and he was producing. So when I was working with him, he was producing Madonna and Rod Stewart and Diana Ross, and I spent 3 years there in his studio practically every day, and he mentored me and helped me learn how to produce,
Can't
and he
how
wrote songs with me, and he took care of me. He was amazing. He was a friend of my stepsister's. That's how the connection happened. She said, I'll go out with you if you help my sister, basically.
oh,
And so he invited me to I'm from New York, but he invited me back to New York to shadow him, and I did that for those years. And he set me up with his assistant, also a songwriter, and the assistant had a co-writer, and together we wrote a #1 huge song called Contribution, and it was by Misha Paris, who's a UK soul singer, and Eric B and Rakim rap on it. So this was 1990, and it was one of the first ever hip hop songs where there was singing and rappers on the song.
wow.
So this kind of put us on the map, and me and my co-writers, and I got a publishing deal at Island Music Publishing, and Misha was on Island Records, but it was a coincidence, but I actually got the publishing deal, and I was signed as a artist as well as a songwriter with the publishing deal, but I really ended up morphing into being a songwriter and a producer. Also in 1990, I got to produce my first major song, and also with Sam, the Soul Man guy, also with him for another movie. So that's basically how I morphed from being this weird artsy Bjork artist into being a songwriter and a music producer for others. And I love it so much because I'm really kind of a low key behind the scene girl, like as we can see with Mary with your earrings and you look so beautiful. I have nothing on, you know? I mean, I am so wash and wear. So it's really much better that I'm behind the scenes. And I love nurturing other people to look beautiful and sing fabulously. So basically that's how I did that. I signed with another publishing company after that, and I was connected with the soap operas. And that was my biggest foray into the sync world, which was not called sync back then. It was just called music placements. But I was on the music team of Guiding Light, the soap opera Guiding Light, for 18 years. And I was on a couple of others. I was on Another World for 8 years. And then I worked on One Life to Live and General Hospital and The Young and the Restless. And I worked on all of those. And then I worked on tons of other films and TV shows. And I had a big international hit with Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys. I wrote his single from his solo album, and I wrote the single from a group called Eden's Crush that Nicole Scherzinger is in from the Pussycat Dolls, and that was the theme song for Pop Stars, and that was really huge. Pop Stars came right before American Idol, and that was big. And then I had some other hits, big hits, one with one of the American Idols, LaToya London. It was #8 R&B, and I just kept moving forward. That's all I can say is people just call me and they say, can you do this? And I always say yes, even if I can't. I find somebody who I can do it with. And that's how I've propelled my whole career. And I've had over 5,000 sync placements in film, TV, games, ads, promos, those trailers, that kind of stuff. And I've had over 100 major label artist cuts all over the world. Sometimes it'll be on EMI in South Africa and BMG in the Czech Republic. And so not always American, but there are huge stars all over the world who record people's music, not only in America. And then I've had lots of big records and hits here in America. And that's kind of what I do.
I love the fact that one of your songs was the answer to a Jeopardy question. That blew my
Yeah, that was amazing, right? That was so bizarre. But the most bizarre thing was my husband and I were sitting here on the couch I am sitting on right now. We're watching Jeopardy, and then we're like, "Oh my God!" Like I didn't
our
I
listeners.
didn't know. Yeah, so we didn't know. We were just watching the show, and then they asked the question, or asked the answer, and it was shocking. I was just shocked.
What was it?
You know?
The
Oh
question
God, the
and answer.
question, it's on my Facebook wall. I forget what the question was exactly, but it was something like it was either it's something like get over yourself. What is get over yourself? And the answer was something like pop stars or Eden's crush. I have to look on my Facebook wall. I don't even remember. It was, but I posted it there.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, so it's something about that. About the song is called Get Over Yourself, and the group is called Eden's Crush, and the TV show is called Pop Stars. And actually, a music supervisor told me that it was because it was such a low priced question. It was $400. She's a Jeopardy aficionado. That meant that everybody knew the answer. Like it was really popular. So that was really cool. She said that when it's a low price like that, that means it's a major thing, like
Right.
a big pop culture. So that was, yeah, that was amazing. I was so excited. It's that's like I'm saying, it's always exciting. It's just like I can't even remember it because it's so surreal. I can't even own it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
What a
like
history moment.
these, yeah, it was crazy. These things that happen to us are like, if you get a single, every star has aligned. Every star, like like a single that a major label single, that's like every star. That's impossible. So it's always impossible, right? Even just getting a placement is impossible. So if you get something, it's like it's just crazy stuff.
Yeah.
People think that, oh, it's like easy, and it's never easy. It's always so daunting. So I feel very blessed.
Yeah. You have such an amazing story. I would love to know about what it is in your work what it actually looks like when you're writing for yourself or for the other artists, producing what those different branches look like what is the deliverable, like here are the
Sure.
lyrics, here's the melody, here's the top line, here's the produced track, here's the song sketch, whatever it is that you do, and then because it varies. And
Yeah.
also, I know you teach a course from song to sync, but obviously that's a huge topic. But tell us also about getting into this world today. But
Okay, sure. So when I do write in all different ways, which a lot of people do, so I have no set way. I can write the lyric first, I can write the music first, I can write the melody first, I can sometimes it comes all at the same time. Some people like Jonathan Butler, who I write with, he wants me to write the lyric. I'm much more involved in the lyrical content. But most of the time, and I've written with Bob Dylan, sent me music as well recently to write to. So there I supplied the lyric and some of the melody, but basically he played me the melody on the guitar. So I don't do that very often. I'm kind of a in the same room at the same time girl. So this COVID has messed that up a bit. Like I like to write from complete scratch, no loops, no beats, no tracks, no lyrics, no nothing. We get in the room together and we write our baby together. So when I co-write, I'm mostly doing that. Now, my main collaborator is a very strange bird because he is a musician that's beyond amazing. He has perfect pitch. He plays any instrument you stick in his hands. His main instrument is guitar, but he plays absolutely everything. And yet, he cannot get inspired to write a song if the lyric isn't there. So we when I write with him, write the lyric first, which for the first, I'd say 28 years, I battled with him every session going, well, I'd come up with some lyric if we had some music. And it was really like a struggle. But now I finally, in the last 11, 12 years, have given in to him and we write the lyric first. So we'll usually sit down together. He's a great lyricist as well, and we'll write the entire lyric. And then he'll say this, so what do you hear? And I'm like, you have the lyric, you hear something, but it's always the same. So then I have to start singing something, and then he'll kind of change something. And then after the whole melody and the lyric is done, then we find the chords.
Interesting.
So we really work that way because that's his preference and I've given in. But I would say that a lot of people who come and write with us as a third writer find that odd. But we kind of just do that. And the lyric is much better that way, to be honest with you. The lyric is much stronger. I
What's your
can't say it's my favorite thing though.
um,
What were you gonna say?
what's your timetable like when you meet up with um meet up with him? Like you just
My timetable is finish the song in the night. That's the best way. If it takes 3 hours, if it takes 5 hours, everybody needs to be hostage because if you don't finish the song and put down a rough, it never gets finished. That's been my experience in my world. So whether it's in my studio, because I have my own studio, or his studio, we need to record a rough of a guitar, a rough of somebody singing it, and get it down into the Pro Tools because if not, the song never gets finished. So, and I write on deadlines too. I mostly write on assignments. It's very rare that I would just write a song to write a song anymore. So I'm mostly on a commission for a music production house, for a movie, for a TV show with an artist that needs to be done. So usually time is a big factor where there's not a lot of time. So we have learned as songwriters to police ourselves. So there's very little cliche. Like I find with my students, there's a lot of cliche going on in that first delivery of the song. But we have learned to police it and not say the sun is yellow, it's happy outside, the grass is green. Like we have learned to get rid of that fast. So I would say that we're very much pressured for time. And then I'm usually very pressured for time to produce the songs. Sometimes I'll do a commission of 10 songs in like 8 weeks. So in under a week, I'll have to write, completely record, mix, master song after song after song. So it can be very daunting and very quick. Once I did 16 songs in 10 weeks for a company. Yeah,
wow.
it was insane. But somehow divine intervention takes over, right? You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
it comes from somewhere else, right? And you're just like in the mode, in the moment of it.
so
Yeah. So
how does your business
oh,
structure work? Business model? Like if you're having a commission and you have to write 10 songs or 16 songs in a short amount of time, you're also receiving back end royalties for your income. Um,
yeah, I'm being paid for those up front as well.
okay.
That's a situation where I'm actually being paid upfront to create the songs, and then I'm receiving back end royalties as well. Yes, the writer's share, not the publisher's share, the writer's share. Those are work for hire buyout. They buy them out, but they don't buy out my royalties from my writer's share. If that, I don't know if anybody knows about that yet, but we can discuss that. So,
Yeah.
yes, when I write with an artist, a major artist, there's no payment to me. We don't pay each other to write with each other. And I don't believe in that. So for everybody here who, if people are asking you to pay to write with them because you think they're more successful and it's advantageous for you, don't do that. That is a terrible. Now, Rogers didn't ask me to pay him, and I've written with many, many, many famous people when I was very young and green. Nobody asked me to pay them, right? Because how do we decide whose value is bigger? Is it now, if you come to me to write with me, is my value bigger because I have all this success and have been doing it forever? Or is your value bigger because you're fresh and new and on the street and know what's going on that's cooler than somebody of my generation, maybe? How do we decide who's more valuable? I don't believe that's a possibility. I think we're equally valuable. And so it's heinous to me when people charge other writers, right? It's fine if you charge for production or your musician services or your vocalist, your singer, right? If I hire you to sing, of course, Mary, I'm going to pay you, right?
Yeah.
But to co-write, to collaborate, no, it's just a horrible thing. So just to throw that in there, that people, I hope, don't do that.
Yeah. Thanks. And so let's talk about getting started with
Hmm.
this. So first of all, people can always come back, and we'll talk about this later on at the end of tonight, and we'll also drop it in written form so people can see how they can get on your email list and um, with your email address, sweetersongs at AOL.com,
Yeah, we
SWEETERSONGS at AOL.com.
No, 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 no. It's SWEETRSNGS. We can
Oh,
type it in the chat. Yeah. So it's abbreviated. Will they see the chat?
yeah. I was going to type it later on, but yeah. And then also,
Right. Well,
of course,
they can see it twice. Yeah, I'm easy to find too. Just, find me online. And I have over 5,000 Facebook, well, 5,000 Facebook friends. So you can send me a message, a private message on Facebook, which I will reply to. But I can't take any more Facebook friends, but I do have business pages on Facebook that I'll send you to. And you can also contact me on LinkedIn, which I love. LinkedIn is the most amazing thing. I don't Instagram or Twitter. I do have an Instagram account, but I've never been on it. So don't IG me or any of that, because I don't do that. It's too much, not enough time in the day.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but
Um,
for sure. But if you write me, I always write everybody back. I'm very good about it because I want people to write me back too. Like, it's really irritating to be ghosted. I don't want that. So if you write me and I didn't write you back, I did not see it, write me again. I write back absolutely everybody. Not necessarily I can help everybody, but know how to help you, but I will certainly get back to you. So, and I want to help people. People help me, like I have a blessed career, and that's why I'm here, just to give back.
yeah, we appreciate it. How do we get started in this world of music publishing?
Okay, great. So the thing is, now everybody these days wants to get their songs in movies, TV shows, games, ads, promos, things of that nature, wants to do sync. Everybody wants to do that, but nobody can do that until they know something about music publishing. And it's not the most sexy part, but it's the most necessary part. Because the thing is, everybody says, oh, it's so hard, it's so hard. But the truth is that music is needed. We have music. They need music. It's very symbiotic. There's enough work to go around. The playing field is very equal because people are very bored with me and they want to discover something new. So don't ever think that because you're new, it's harder, because sometimes it's not, sometimes it's easier, right? So we have to know though about the business, because the reason why the music, you're always going to hear the music supervisor saying, get yourself an agent, get yourself a publisher, get yourself, is because they're afraid to work with us, because they're afraid we are uneducated and are going to cause them great difficulty with the publishing aspect of the songs they want to use, because we are clueless. So the most important thing to do is learn about the music business before we get out there pitching our songs. It's okay to sing them. It's okay to study with Mary and become a great vocalist. That part is fine. But if you want to get that music now out into the world for artists to record and for music supervisors to hear, the people who work with finding music for all the sync to A&R, we have to know the business. So the first most important thing to know is the difference between the pie of what is a writer's share and what is a publisher's share. So do people here know this? Because I don't want to be too boring if they know this.
Maybe. But I
Okay.
know for me, for example, I have my own songwriters um, account and my own publishing account on ASCAP. And like you said, as a vocalist, I should move to BMI or
Not
CC.
as a vocalist, as a as a songwriter of vocal music.
As a songwriter of vocal music. Thank you.
Yes.
The,
Yes.
those are
Right. So you need to have, but do you know what the sync, do you know, excuse me, what the writer's share and the publisher's share is? Do you know
50.
how that works? Yes, but of what? Why is that? That's what we want everybody to understand. Why is it 50-50? How does that work?
Break it down for us.
Okay, great. So that's the thing, is that most people don't even understand this, and this is the most basic thing. It's songwriting is like a pie. The minute a song is created, there is a writer's share, which is half the pie, and a publisher's share, which is half the pie. These cannot be altered ever. There's always 50%, that's the writer's share. There's always 50%, that's the publisher's share. Now, there can be multiple writers on the song, getting weird splits or hopefully equal splits. There can be multiple publishers on the song, but the pie is always 50-50. So that is not alterable. And that happens just by the basis of creating the song. One has to do nothing. So if one is the creator, then one is the publisher. So the minute the song is created, you yourself are the publisher. If you're saying, oh, I'm not with Sony and I'm not with Warner Chappell and I'm not, those are just publishing companies. You are the publisher immediately when the song is created. The same thing about a copyright. A copyright, the minute the song is created, is the copyright. The copyright is created. All you have to do is like sing it into a little, I'm so old, a tape recorder, in your computer or whatever you do. This, it's called the tangible form. That means it's copyrighted. So that's immediate. The copyright. Now, this is an interesting question because almost nobody gets this. Who do you think the copyright belongs to when you write the song?
Um, Whoever would, make that tangible recording or declare that they own it.
No, so, well, sort of. The copyright belongs to the author. So
Yeah.
the author being the songwriter. The copyright does not belong to the publisher, and the copyright does not belong to the producer. And there's nowhere on a copyright form, when you get the copyright form, the PA form, that mentions even the publisher. Everybody always thinks, oh, the publisher owns the copyright. But no, the writer, who is called the author on the copyright form, owns the copyright. And that's super important to know, because you can do a publishing deal and still be the author and own the copyright. So that these are like the basic things that we need to know to start being able to understand publishing. So we also have to know who owns what. So when we write a song with each other, right? Do we have split sheets? I don't know if your students use split sheets, but they need split sheets so that it's actually on paper who are the songwriters.
Yeah, I use split sheets for myself, and I think it varies per person what they do. But yeah,
Right. So it's really mandatory in my world that my students have split sheets. You have got to know, because I mean, I have a friend. She went to Sweden. She wrote 10 songs. She came back. She has no idea who the songwriters are. What are their names? She has no idea. Well, who produced these things? She's like, you mean their names? No names.
yeah,
Okay.
now she can't do anything with it. To
She
use
can't
it.
do anything. She has no idea who even wrote her own songs with
Like,
her.
no one would use it because it's just too much work to try to figure that out. They just go
Right.
else, right?
Exactly. And the whole point of it is too, that's crazy. So if it helps us even remember for ourselves, we have to have sheets. Like, first of all, to write with me, all of this goes up front. I would never write with anyone who doesn't sign the split sheet first. That it's equal splits, who doesn't matter how many notes we wrote, how many lines, how many words, counting anything. It's equal. We are equally contributing to this thing, and always have a split sheet. So now if I forget for some stupid reason who I wrote the song with, I can find out, and their publishing information. So it's great that you have a publishing company, Mary, because most people are told by their PROs like ASCAP and BMI, oh, you don't need a publishing company. All the money will flow through your writer's share. That is not professional.
It
And
is.
that is not okay. Yeah. And you cannot submit your songs for synchronization possibilities if you have no publishing account. So this is such a disservice that the PROs do. And the reason why they do that, in my humble opinion, is because they're banking on us to fail. They're not banking on us thinking we're going to be the one of the tiny minority who's going to make it. They're saying we're the majority who's not going to make it. And why bother with the paperwork and them having more paperwork, and why? But that's not a way to go at it. So I advise all your people, if they don't have publishing accounts at their PROs, to form one. It's really super, super important. So the minute you have one song that you open your PRO account with, the same minute you can have open your publishing account at
Yeah.
the same time, right? And
Yeah.
so it's great that you have one. But I mean, I have a class full of students who have no publishing accounts, and a lot of them are reasonably successful. So, and also in foreign countries, a lot of them are not American, and it's very difficult to form a publishing company outside of the US. So a lot of them are coming to BMI and forming publishing companies here, which
Yeah.
one can do. So it's really important to also to know who is the artist. Who are we designating as the artist? That seems so basic, right? Especially in a room full of singers here, but it people don't. In the end, they don't know who the artist is. Who it's like crazy stuff. So we should have all of this documented, right? We should know who is the producer. Did we pay someone? Who owns the master? This is beyond important and basic. So, right, if we're going to pitch a song, we have to know who owns the master. If you did you pay someone to create the musical part? Because if you did, then you own the master because you paid them. And that you should have paperwork, work for hire, it's called, work for hire paperwork.
Yeah, I've done some
Mhm.
work for hire work as a producer for some other artists, and then also had an agreement that if the song reached a certain level of earning, then I would get also a split from that. Um, but yeah,
Good.
how how does after all of these, like, what's the next step after you start studying these elements? How do you start identifying where to submit your music or people?
Well, if you want to submit for artists, for other artists like Kelly Clarkson, Carrie Underwood, people who record other people's songs and still do, you go to the A&R people or you find their managers. Now, how do you do that? Everything is research. So there's no easy way to do this. Everybody wants an easy way out, but there is not. So you have to look online and you have to find out who Kelly Clarkson's manager. Okay, you're going to find it. You're going to find who is Kelly Clarkson's A&R person. You're going to look on the information about her album and see A&R by. You can also get a directory. There's a directory called the A&R Registry, and there's a directory called the Film and TV Guide. And both of them are put out by a blanket company called the Music Business Registry. And you can buy these in PDF form, and they list pretty much every A&R person and every music supervisor and every music library and music editor and all their email information and everything that you'd want to find for these people.
This is really valuable. Thanks for
You're
talking
welcome.
about that. What if you
But go
want
on.
you can finish.
No, it's okay. Go on. What?
What if you want to submit things for yourself, like your own music, where you
Oh
are the
yeah. So if you want to submit to yourself and you want to get a record deal still in this world that people might get record deals the same way, you find out the A&R people and you submit to them, you find out what they've done. But the point is to research. If you find their name, what artists have they worked with? What style of music do they do? You just don't want to pitch, if you're doing singer-songwriter stuff, you don't want to pitch a hip hop A&R person your music, because that will piss them off, and that's not what they're looking for. So you have to, if you're a country artist, you want to look at the country record labels and the country managers. So we want to be paying attention to what the people that we're serving, because what we're doing is serving them. They're not supposed to be serving us. We're supposed to be serving them, getting them great music, getting them our great artistry, helping to keep the business moving along. So you would find out what they were like. And it's really not that much of a mystery. The biggest part is learning how to write them a letter. The problem is that people get out of college and get master's degrees and they don't know how to write a business letter, right? Like every day people write me this, and I'm not even a power that be. I mean, I'm not using other people's music, but people think I am because they didn't do their research. Like on my LinkedIn page, it says very specifically, who places the music she writes only. It's very clear, but nobody reads it. So people every day write me this: hey, I do this, I do this, I do this, help me. Okay, not effective. Sometimes people just send me an email and in the subject line it says songs, and then they'll send me 20 links and I have no idea who they are. No text, not writing me, telling me anything. Sometimes people just don't even send anything in the subject line. It'll just say re because it was forwarded or copied or forwarded or whatever, and they say, I'm this, I'm this, I'm this. Here's some songs. Okay, this is not effective. This is not how. And I'm astonished every time because I'm like, how did these people even get out of high school, right? And they don't know how to write a business letter. I learned how to do that in like 8th grade or something, how to write a proper business letter to people, So they don't address me by my name. They don't do any research about me to see what I've done. So that's key in order to correspond with people. They're humans, right? If I want to write you, Mary, I'm going to go look and see what you do. I watched one of your classes to see who you are, right? I read stuff. I mean, this is important to find out who are we connecting with. So this is, if we want to, and this takes 20 weeks for my students. So we're doing this quickly today, but this is like so important to be able to address someone by their name. Hi, Mary, dear Mary, hello, Mary, right? And also, the two things that people forget constantly are, I hope this finds you well. How are you in these crazy times? How are you in yours? Nobody has no pleasantries. Also, nobody says thank you. Thank you seems to be a big difficulty for people when they're writing for some reason. So you have to write, thank you for your time. Thank you for your expertise. Thank you for all you know. I'm contacting you because I read that you do this and this and this, and that is so cool. And I love that artist you A&R'd and the campaign you did. And I love that TV show you work on, and the song choices are amazing. And you really have to know. You can't just say that. You have to say, I love so much. I love Big Little Lies and the song in this scene. And you have to know, oh yeah, I read you just had a baby. Congratulations, right? You have to be serving them and discussing them to get them interested in you. And this is the kind of stuff that propels people's careers, and I believe has really propelled my career. Because I honestly care. It's not only that I'm doing it for my business sake, but I care. I cannot contact someone I know nothing about. That is just bizarre. That's insane. So once we learn how to do that, then we're in better shape. But if our music is not up to par, then we're going to burn every bridge known to man. So it's really, it all starts with a song, like NSAI, the National Songwriters Association, says it all starts with a song. And it still does, even in this time of incredible production. If the song isn't there, you can write the most beautiful letter, but then you're going to burn the bridge because you're going to listen to the song and go, oh my God, That is really awful, right? Now, what is awful? Because we could say everything is subjective, right? So much about songwriting is subjective. But what is not subjective? The vocals are in tune. The instruments are in tune. They're in time, right? If your instruments are all out of whack and out of tune, and the singer that you or the singer can't sing in tune, and you haven't even gotten in there and hand tuned, not auto tuned, hand tuned that vocal, okay, this is not going to work for you, right? If the song starts with a verse and then never has a chorus and just meanders and meanders and meanders, okay, this is not going to help you. You have no hook, you have no song, right? We need to have a hook, we need to have a chorus. This is pop music and people want to sing along. So it's really important, like, to really have amazing songs, and they have to be master quality recorded these days. You can't pitch songs with you just playing on a piano or playing or jamming on your guitar and pitch that. You have to have amazing recordings. They have to sound like the radio. They have to sound like what you're listening to on Spotify. You have to put your song in a Spotify playlist and listen to it in a consecutive series with hit songs and see, does your song stand out because it sounds like shit? Or does it sound great and it blends right in, right? That's super important to getting your songs placed, to getting you as an artist recognition. Oh my goodness. Because if you as an artist send an A&R person or a music supervisor your song and you're out of tune and out of time, okay, this is not really good for an artist, right? Right now, I listen to you sing. You're an amazing singer, Mary. Okay, you got to sound amazing, but you got to sound amazing on your recordings too, which I don't know. So I'm sure you do, but you have to sound amazing. You have to have background vocals and counter vocals, and you have to have all kinds of instrumental parts, and you can't just have the same loop playing through the same song and nothing changes. You have to take us on a musical journey, like when you listen to songs that are on the radio and different things come in and out and the vocals get quieter and there's breakdowns, and these types of things are so important to us getting placements and us getting our songs to artists, or being the artist, getting a record deal. And even if you don't want a record deal, if you want to get known with your own songs, putting them out on TuneCore and DistroKid and CD Baby and doing it yourself, that's awesome too. But if they don't sound amazing, you're not going to get very many followers, right? Because there's a lot of stuff out there. So this it's not the sexy part, but it's the real part, that songs have to sound amazing. You have to sound amazing. They can't be distorting. They have to have great mixes. They have to be mastered so that they're loud enough so that they sound like what they're up against. And if we have all that in place, then we certainly are in a position to have our music used. There's new music used everywhere as artists ourselves, right? I put out my own artist project too for fun. It's really not, for me, very commercial, but for me, it's important. So I think that we all have to make sure that everything is of really, really good quality. So does that help some of that? Oh, and let me just add one thing. So many people put out songs and they forget all the noise. Like they'll have mouth noise and they don't clean it. And
I,
that's not okay.
yeah, I agree.
Right. So if you're the producer or your producer's working with you, you have to listen and pay attention and hear that stuff. It's amazing. Also squeaks and pops and guitar squeaks and all kinds of stuff like that. That the producers just aren't savvy these days and they don't clean the tracks up.
No, good
So
producers are.
okay, good. I mean, I produce my own music, so I only know that when my students bring me songs, right? And I teach at a place called Song U as well, and that mostly I do song critique. It's constant that I'm listening to the songs where their producers are not cleaning these tracks up. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked.
I would be shocked. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah. And, the songs have to be of a good length too, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. You can't be pitching and sending people 10-minute songs. And even a 4-minute song is too long because people have no attention span, right?
Yeah,
These
that's
people are tired.
working on right now with like one of like a new collection of songs that I'm writing right now. They're dance tracks, so they're more like alternative pop, kind of like tech house, a
Nice.
little bit
Love it.
underground, but um, I wanted to make most of them are under 4 minutes,
Good.
3 to 4. But one of them, I was looking at a reference track of another song that I like that goes on for 6 minutes. And I'm thinking, oh, it's a dance track. It's meant to be played at a party where people are just going. And then, I was talking about it with another song mentor of mine. And it's like, no, we got to cut it. And then
Yeah,
there
you
could
got to
always
cut it.
be,
You can have it as another mix, as an alternate mix.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's
Yeah,
talk.
but you got to cut it because people don't have any attention span. You have to remember that these people, everybody's always angry at the A&R people and angry at the music supervisors, but they have to listen to thousands of songs. You have to make it easy for them.
Yeah, I was listening to this interview today with this label manager for this record label called Dirty Bird Records. And
Uh-huh.
he was talking about how they listen to everything, but what they do is when they get I know this isn't sync licensing, but it is still the element of pitching.
It doesn't matter.
He was saying
Yeah.
the same things about, doing your research and sending your music to the proper place with where those songs would be used, and also if it passes a certain level of maybe for consideration, the head of the label, Claude Von Stroke, would actually take it to the club and play it on the dance floor before
That's so cool.
deciding to sign the artist or
Mm-hmm.
not, to see how people respond in the crowd. And if
Yeah,
people,
because if the people get up and dance, that's
yeah,
great. I love it. That's so exciting if you get your song played that way.
totally.
Right? I mean, and in that, what you just said was super important because I don't believe in writing songs for sync. I believe in writing great songs that can be used for any reason, can be used for me as an artist, can be used if I want to pitch it to an artist, can be used for synchronization. Great songs.
I'm so glad you
That's
say this. I'm sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
because you can't, I mean, people who just say, oh, I'm going to write this for sync, it makes me crazy. That's not optimum, right? That has no soul. And the music supervisors know that. They feel that. They want to feel some soul, some happy. They want to feel some part of the artist, right, in that song. So it's super, super important. And in dance music as well, they want to feel your artistry.
Yeah,
It's
this has just been something that I've thought about because as I've seen, courses on sync licensing, they'll say you have to look at um, what um, they're looking for. The music supervisor is looking for, and if they want a sad song, send them that. If they want this happy bouncy song, send them that. And then one time I was talking with this A&R with Warner Chappell, and he passed me this track to write a vocal top line on, but it was something outside of my normal area to write in, and it I I just didn't feel comfortable. Like I did something, but it didn't go anywhere. But it also, like, I was like, oh, it has to be. I thought the music was cheesy, so I was like, I have to write a cheesy top line, but I didn't like it at all. And I think I was like trying to fit into this mold, and now it's thinking like, do I have to write a certain way to fit a certain way, or can I
But
just?
sometimes, I mean, you see, I, if that were the case, would bring in a co-writer. I would bring in a couple of us because they might find that I thought would be better for that. But I would never turn the gig down or not do my best on it because then I'm burning a bridge. Because the problem with those people is once they hear something no, or that it wasn't right for you, they just eliminate you. They don't hear the full picture.
Yeah,
So there's a fine weird line in that sense. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So I suggest people bring in somebody who they think would execute. But that happens a lot. I mean, I work with a lot of people who I hire to sing and stuff who will tell me that this happened to them, that a major publisher gave them a track. See, I don't write to tracks, and I hate the term top line because it's super demeaning and it demeans everything. And the melody and the lyric is the song. And yeah, I just hate that term top line. But even so, if a lot of the artists that I work with tell me that, like a major publisher is trying them out and will give them a track and they don't have any connection to it and they don't know what to do, because if they turn it down, unfortunately what happens is if you turn it down, they just eliminate you. So you almost have to give it a try like you did, but maybe you bring in somebody else, or maybe you listen to a bunch of songs in the genre and do some research and try to find the cool, like, because I write everything and I like to write everything. I find it really cool. So it's fun and it's a challenge. So rather than looking at it as, ugh, I would never do that, that's so gross, I look at it as, yeah, okay, I'll do that. Sure. How can I make this really great? You know what I mean? Sometimes
Yeah.
that helps our mindset if we come at it, because again, our mission is to serve. So our mission is to serve that person who's giving us a chance. So
Yeah.
we have to find some way to bring our artistry into it, right? Even if it kills us, right? Because it's not our thing. I think if we come at it that way, sometimes we're surprised by what we can come up with and be really excited with ourselves with the challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. These are
So
words of wisdom. Wow. Thank you.
that's what happens when you get old. You're welcome. Oh my God. It never gets easier though. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. If we're ever looking for it to get easier, it never does. So we always have to just keep moving forward.
Yeah, that's true. It's
Oh,
interesting.
and you know our songs, by the way, just in case everybody doesn't know this, because a lot of people don't know, not especially for sync, but not only for sync, you have to have endings on your songs, hard endings. You can't let the songs fade with any kind of fade or any kind of quiet ending that fades out, because the synchronization people, the music editors won't use it, and the A&R people don't like it anymore. The radio doesn't like it. Nobody likes it. So even my single that's out right now has a fade, and I was crying, like saying to the artist, why? You know, because it's just the kiss of death to have a fade
Wow,
on
these songs
on
make
a
it really
song.
known.
Yeah, and also a long intro and instrumental sections, unless it's EDM. If it's EDM, it's all about the instrumental. But even then, I put in, yeah, you know, I'm going to put some vocal really subliminally in there, because if not, the powers that be can't concentrate. Once you take the vocal out, they're over. They turn the song off, even if they like it. And if the intro is more than 2 or 4 bars, they're finished. They're like, where is the song? So if it's dance music, it's okay. Like, you're making dance music because that is dance music. But if it's rock, country, singer songwriter, you know, Latin, whatever, pop, you can't have an instrumental in the middle of the song, and you can't have a long intro, and you can't have a fade. The worst thing is the fade. And sometimes the music supervisors, because they're sometimes not the nicest, will fast forward your song to the end to see if there's a fade, and they won't even listen to it, but then they'll write you back something nasty telling you your song has a fade. So they
Wow.
don't like it. Yeah, so these are like really, I hope these are helpful gems, because they'll save you a lot of heartache, you know. Not you, but I mean, you know, the audience, a lot of heartache by these particular things that the music supervisors just hate so much.
Wow.
Yeah, crazy, right? I know, crazy. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff.
Wow. Let's
Yeah,
open up for questions.
sure.
Olga says, my team and I have written a song that is over 5 minutes long. I think we'll call it an extended mix. Thanks for the idea. What are your thoughts on that?
That's fine if you have another mix, as long as you have a radio edit, what's used to be called in the old days a radio edit. That's 3 minutes. But you can't just pitch that extended mix, because, you know, sometimes sometimes, to be honest with you, also what they'll do is they'll look at the length of the song that you sent them. And if it's too long, they're not going to listen to it. They don't want to deal with it.
What's the cutoff time?
3.5 minutes, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes. The shorter, the better. And shorter songs have always, especially as an artist, been notorious for radio play because the DJs can, and still to this day, can slip those songs in between before the commercials.
Yeah.
So if they have shorter, yeah. So the shorter, the better is the best. And if you have an extended play, you better have a radio edit, a shorter version, because again, people are very tired. You know, if somebody sends me a 5.5 minute song and I just see that looking at the MP3, I'm going to be like, oh God, do I really have time to listen to that? Who has time to listen to that?
I guess it also makes
So
me think like what is the level of musicianship that this person is presenting or experience in the world if they send you something already like that, like you're maybe in your mind you're like, well, if they were more experienced with sending things to me, they would know not to do that. So
yeah, one would think so. I agree with you. That's a good point. Exactly. And that's why I was saying in the beginning, we're becoming educated, because if we're not educated, they're going to dismiss us. Right? That's why they don't want to work with indie artists, because they're afraid of us. They're afraid we're going to exhaust them with these long songs, and they're afraid we're not going to understand about our business. So it's very, very important to not send them songs that long. You just think of how many songs they have to listen to. It's too much. So
Olga
that's
says
all I can say.
I've heard the commercial length is approximately 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
Yeah, again, 2.5 to 3.5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All good. All good. Shorter, better.
Yeah. Heidi said she learned something new, and I guess we covered it, and I guess we're also over. It's time to wrap up because
yeah, okay. If no one has any questions, that's fine.
I mean,
They also should make sure they have a credit sheet, by the way, to go with their business letter. They should always have a little credit sheet, even if it's 3-line bio, that says Michèle Weiss Maslin is a music producer, songwriter, artist, and works out of her studio in New York City and has a passion for, blah, blah, blah. Even if it's that short and one has no credits, one should still have something. And on the bottom, it should list all their contact information, their email address, all their silly hashtags, and their LinkedIn, their Twitter, their Instagram, their Facebook, all their links that they can click on, that people can just click on their links and just get all this stuff. So that's super, super important if you're pitching. And also, it's important not to send an MP3 in an email. You have to send an attachment. Most people want disco. So the service disco.ac, most people want it sent a link in that service. You can also use like Dropbox or Box.com or something, but people don't want that. They all want this thing called disco. And so these, are important things.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're
in
welcome.
terms of the credit sheet, do you put it directly in the body of the email, or do you attach it as a PDF or something? I would think in the body of the email.
I attach it as a Word document into the disco file. So just like you can slide in your song, one song at a time, if you're cold pitching, you slide in the Word document. Also, I have my credit sheet as a link. So, a HTTP link, and you just click on it and it opens up. So you can do that as well. But you don't want to attach anything, and you can have it in the body of the email, but it's not as good. It's better that it's just something they can click on and they can see it, especially if it has some length.
Yeah, so just very clean, short, brief.
Very clear. And that's what disco is amazing, because if you send a disco email, which you can only do if you buy the plus pricing policy from them, the email looks so beautiful. It formats it and it looks so nice. And that's super important and easy for people to read. The font is big, people can deal with it, and you just click on the link and you can play your MP3 And you don't want to send them anything too big either, like a 3 to 5 meg MP3. That's it. You don't want to be sending them an 8 meg MP3 and a 10 meg MP3. It's too big. They don't like it. You know, these are the things that we have to learn when we're serving whoever we're pitching to. And it's like, it seems so crazy and exhausting, but it doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what about us. It's not to convenience us. It's to convenience them to listen, right? Because we want them to listen. And if we make it easy for them, then they'll listen. And if we make it difficult for them, no, not so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
I hope that's helpful. Oh, and just as we were talking when we started, everybody, if you're an ASCAP writer and you write vocal music, meaning songs, pop songs, R&B, whatever genre, but songs, not instrumental score for like a movie, I really recommend that you switch to BMI, because ASCAP does not pay well at all for vocal music. And once you start getting your songs placed, you will see a huge difference if you have
Wow.
a BMI co-writer and the money that you're going to make.
Thank you. Olga just asked, would a link to music from SoundCloud be acceptable?
Not as good as disco. No, they don't particularly love SoundCloud. It's just how it goes. And they don't particularly love you just putting the link. They particularly love the disco email, which is a specially formatted thing that you make in disco. Yeah, a lot of people don't like SoundCloud. I can't tell you why. It's just, 5 years ago, none of this happened. So,
Well, another thing is that when I've tried to open SoundCloud from my phone, if it's a private link, a secret link, it won't open a song, like somebody else's song.
yeah,
And
and well, that's important to know too. You don't ever want anything secret. It all has to be public. You can't be sharing stuff where people have to put in ID numbers or put in passwords, because that they will not do.
right.
They just want to listen anonymously. They don't want to be having, so don't password protect anything. Yeah, and if you can't open it on your phone, that's not optimum. Although I don't use a smartphone, but since most people do.
You don't really?
No, I don't text. No, I don't text, and I don't use a smartphone. And no one for business, that's really important to know too. No one for business is going to send you a text unless they're your buddy. They're going to send you an email. No one's going to send a contract or a license in a text. They're going to send you it in an email. And I never have anyone for business trying to even send me a text or even asking,
No.
did I get their text?
No.
So texting, right? Texting is for our friends. I don't text, but if I did, texting is not for business. So I think that's important for people to understand that, because I don't think they understand that.
Yeah, well, all of these things are just around, and you could say etiquette, but it's not just etiquette, but it's just about communication and showing up professionally, but also like professionally, but also enjoyable to work with. Those are big. People want to work with.
Yeah. And etiquette is super important. Like, for instance, young people, if I do something for you and you write me back and you say no problem, okay, that is not acceptable. Can you imagine saying to your grandmother, no problem? No, 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 no. Thank you. Thank you and my pleasure are the two responses. No problem is not a good response. That's unbelievable. You have to understand that most people we're doing business with are older people, right? And
Yeah,
these people, you don't say no problem,
my parents
right?
talk about that, and it's true. Now I
Say
notice it
good. I'm so
everywhere.
glad.
If people say like "thank you" instead of saying "you're welcome," they're like, "No problem." It's like, "Oh, I'm glad I wasn't a problem for you."
Right, exactly. It's flippant. Exactly. That it's just horrible. And I try to drum that into everybody when you're doing business. Don't ever. It just makes me cringe every time going, right. Oh,
No
problem.
worries.
Oh,
No
yeah, no
worries. Like,
worries.
oh, I wasn't
No,
really.
yeah, exactly. Another one, not good for you, not acceptable, not acceptable. And these things sound so stupid and trite, but these are the things that are going to make us lose gigs.
Yeah.
These are the things that are going to make us lose gigs and irritate people to no end, right? Because you're dealing with people who are your parents' age, my age, and you're not dealing with a teenager, and they're not going to respond well to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's etiquette. It definitely is etiquette, and it's so lost. So I try to teach that so much so that people have a fighting chance, because with etiquette, we have such a fighting chance,
Yeah.
right?
We do.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hope it's helpful, and if anybody has any more questions, they can email me or Mary or however they want to.
Yeah, Heidi says incredible information. Thank you so much. Olga says thank you for the great info. I know we're definitely going to have some replay viewers, and then this recording is going to be available later on as well.
You're so welcome.
I've learned so much.
My pleasure. I'm not going to say no problem.
No worries. Cool.
Oh my God. Yeah. So thank you for having me, Mary. Thank you, all your students and attendees. Thank you.
You're welcome. We appreciate it so much and learned so much. So we will end the live stream there. And again, if you are thanks for joining us. And if you are catching the replay, or if you have any questions, just drop them in and we'll get your answers to you. So talk to you later. Bye. Oh gosh, Michèle, thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. I hope it was helpful.
Yeah, this is awesome. And it was so much fun to talk. You're so much fun.
Thank you. I enjoyed you so much. You know what, though, would be more fun? I'm not sure. This why you do it in this format.